Greetings. My name is Jeanclaudeworms. I am the Executive Director of COSPAR, and I would like to spend the next 15-20 minutes explaining to all COSPAR associates why we need you for the implementation of our strategic plan 2019-2023. In his talk, Jean-Louis Fellouz, my predecessor, the previous COSPAR Executive Director, explained to you how COSPAR was formed, why it was created, when it was created. I would like to spend some time explaining what we stand for today, what we do today, and what we're trying to achieve. I'm showing here our statement of principles, what we stand for. Of course, I'm not going to read everything, but I would like to put the emphasis on some of the aspects of these statements of principles that will cast some light of what I'm trying to explain here. COSPAR does scientific research in space at an international level. We provide a worldwide forum for scientists to meet and exchange. We try to do that in a way that is completely free of geopolitical tensions and differences. And of course, we require that every presentation that is done in our assemblies, in our symposia, in our colloquia, capacity building workshops, whatever, and the publications in our journals are done, carried out with the highest ethical standards. We disclose any financial support we receive, and this is important in the context of in particular in the context of the associated supporters scheme that I will spend some time explaining later on. One important aspect is that we try to promote diversity, equality, inclusion, gender balance, etc., in everything that we do in all of our activities. And we will not, of course, tolerate any form of harassment or discrimination. This is something that we are very keen on improving, and we do require also your input and your contribution for this to be improved. To capture all of these activities, what we need is you. What we need are you. We need you to engage. We need to find ways to encourage meaningful roles in all our activities for associates in general, the 11,000 plus associates of COSPAR, but in particular, of course, for younger scientists, early career researchers who are the future of international space research and thereby the future of COSPAR. As Jean-Louis mentioned, in 1957-58, when COSPAR was created, it was one of one. It was the organization for space science. Now, today, with all the new actors emerging, both from the institutional, national institutional and private sectors, we have become one of many organizations that deal with space and with space science in particular. And the main goal of the strategic plan that I'm going to briefly explain here, started in 2019 and aimed at covering the period until 2023, is to return COSPAR to the prominence it had in the late 50s, early 60s. This strategic plan was adopted in 2019 by our governance. It contains scores of actions, 54 to be precise. More than a third have been completed already, and a good half is underway. So we're making progress, but here we need you to help us complete the objectives of this strategic plan. You can download this plan. You can find it here on the URL that you see on your screen. Please do that. Avail yourself of this possibility and read this plan and help us bring it to completion. There are many aspects of this plan. Of course, I will only highlight a few of those. One critical aspect is how to increase the value of our assemblies and their attractiveness. And of course, by assemblies, I mean meetings in general. COSPAR does a lot of meetings. Of course, we have the biennial assemblies. Normally, they are held during even years, so it should have been held, the Sydney one should have been held in August 2020. Now, of course, the pandemic had led us to postpone this assembly. It's now going to take place. It will take place. It is taking place as we speak at the end of January, early February. But we have other types of meetings. We have the symposia, which are typically held during odd years in between the assemblies. But this time we will have a very special year, 2021. We're having the assembly now, and in a few months, at the end of the year in November, we will have the symposium that will deal with the subject of small satellites for space research. And it will be held in Singapore, hopefully in a more physical format with physical presence of the participants. So this is a vital aspect that for all our meetings, assemblies, symposia, capacity building workshops, etc., their value and their attractiveness is increased. So in order to do that, we need to have an increased role for, in particular, early career scientists. We need to make COSPAR more prominent, more visible by increasing our communication with the various institutional stakeholders. Typically at every assembly, there's a roundtable of space agency leaders, the highest level people in the agencies typically. And this time, I encourage you to attend that session. We will have many people from all over the world, Thomas Terbourn from NASA, Jean-Yves Le Gall from CNES, etc., many others. And this is something that is important. You will get a chance to interact with them, ask questions. So this is something that we also need to continue and to expand. Of course, these meetings, and COSPAR was holding these meetings in a very traditional format. Now, the COVID era, the pandemic, and the post-COVID world has forced us, like everybody else in the world, and in particular in the scientific arena, to adapt our format. And so we will need to adapt to the post-COVID world. We have thought hard about that. This meeting is taking place in a hybrid format, mainly virtual. We hope that the next assembly after that, which will be held in July 2022 in Athens in Greece, will be back to a more normal situation where we'll have essentially physical presence. However, it's clear that what we've learned during these few months tells us that we need also to implement a mixed type of format, and a remote component will probably be necessary, not only for health reasons as it is today, but also because we might have people who will not be willing to travel, who won't want to travel, who won't be able to travel, won't have the financial support to travel. And so this is an important aspect, to be able to adapt to a new situation, to a new world. In order to increase our visibility and our actions, we also need to extend, and we have continued to do that, our partnerships with various organizations, the ISC, our parent body, the International Science Council, of course, but also GEO in Earth Observation, the United Nations, and in particular their Office for Outer Space Affairs, the International Astronomical Union, and others. And here the idea is to address various issues of concern to the community that are important. So science and society is one, of course. We need to tackle this aspect much more, and I will spend a few minutes at the end of my presentation talking about that. But also climate change, which is a very critical aspect that COSPAR, amongst many other organizations, will have to tackle. But also, for instance, the impact of the exponentially growing number of satellites in low Earth orbit and satellite constellations, which are posing specific problems of debris, light pollution, etc., that we need to address with our sister organizations worldwide. In this context, there's a particular focal point with one of these organizations, which is, as I mentioned, the Office for Outer Space Affairs. We have had privileged relationships since many years, decades even, with the United Nations there. We have a memorandum of understanding. We're their first permanent observer, and we are already addressing issues of planetary protection, forward and backward planetary protection, but also as I just mentioned, issues that will become more prominent: space debris, light pollution from constellations, etc. So all these issues are problems that are sometimes new or evolving, and we also need your input to help us find creative solutions to that. One of the strong points of COSPAR is to be able to help countries with emerging space activities, space assets, to develop their capacity to train a new generation of scientists. And the capacity building workshop scheme that we have been having for many years, organized by our panel on capacity building, is a very important aspect of this program. The young scientists are key there. The early career scientists are key there. We also need you to tell us how this program can evolve, what it should do, participate to that. Let us know what you want this program to become. We need to improve our communication, obviously, through our electronic newsletter, bi-monthly, but also throughout three journals, 2 scientific journals, peer-reviewed journal, Advances in Space Research, Life Sciences in Space Research, but also our information bulletin, Space Research Today. You're free to submit any piece you want, any article you want there, do that. Social media, we are beginning to be a bit more active on Facebook and Twitter, so we need your help on this as well. We are launching, as I speak, a new book series, COSPAR book series. We'll have hopefully at least 1, perhaps 2 titles in 2021 and 2022. Many other initiatives, I mentioned diversity, equality, and inclusion, the statements on combating systemic racism in the community, various aspects linked to the COSPAR roadmaps. I don't have a lot of time to expand on that, but one point that I would like to spend 30 seconds on is the strengthening of our associated supporter program. And here the idea is to encourage the engagement with science-based global industry, global space industry. Obviously, there are many new actors there, many also traditional actors, and we are keen to establish bridges with these private actors in order to make them aware of the specific issues and concerns in the science community. So this is something that we are doing. We have some of them that are already supporting COSPAR, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, others, and we do that in the transparent way, and any financial support that is provided by these industries are made known. In order to carry out some of these actions, and on top of the traditional structure that COSPAR had, the scientific commissions from the Earth observation, planetary atmospheres, planetary exploration, astrophysics, fundamentals physics in space, life sciences in space, material sciences, etc., etc. We have also a number of panels that cut across these disciplines and address specifically transversal issues like the panel on planetary protection, for instance. But we are creating new ones. We have created new ones. There is one that is of particular interest to the younger generation. It's the new panel on innovative solution. The aim is to address new technologies and approaches to scientific research. And here the aim is to give young COSPAR associates the opportunity to get proper exposure to their new ideas and approaches. So younger scientists, early career scientists in particular are keen, are important in this discussion. Please let us know what your feelings are. Participate to the work of this panel, Innovative Solution. The chair is Eric Smith from Lockheed Martin. And it will start its activity officially at this assembly, and of course will continue afterwards. We have established a task group on establishing a constellation of small satellites. The idea is to be able to assemble an international consortium to develop, launch, and acquire data from a constellation of small satellites for space science. Of course, the idea is not to launch tens of thousands of satellites in space, creating more problems and debris and pollution, but to have small constellations of small satellites to carry out space science, starting with space weather, but also encompassing other aspects, including planetary exploration. And here, COSPAR will act as a facilitator. This task group has been set up under the chairmanship of Dan Baker from Aspen, Colorado in March at the beginning of the pandemic. So all the meetings have been held virtually since then, and we are making progress. There again, if you have ideas, if you want to contribute, if you want to participate, let us know. You're welcome for that. One panel that is not quite yet complete, but will be started in the next few weeks and months, is the panel on social sciences and humanities as pertaining to space. I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation that I would briefly address space and society. This is very important. We need to explain to the broader society and to decision makers what we do, why we do it, what we do it for. And so it will cover such topics, of course, as space policy, space law, but also history, ethics, economics, etc. The interim chair is Isabelle Sorbès-Verger from CNRS. And so these issues of space society, we believe will become important. So please, again, your contribution is welcome there. There's a crucial role for the associates. By the way, the associates are any scientist who has participated, is participating to any one of the COSPAR events, assembly, workshop, colloquium, symposia, etc. So if you've been in one COSPAR event, you're an associate, you're one of the 11,000 plus associates. So there's a crucial role for you and the national members of COSPAR in implementing the strategic plan 2019-2023. We need you to help us mature and develop the COSPAR world concept. This is a COSPAR world. You can see lots of blue, but also lots of gray. We need efforts to complete the picture in Africa, Middle East, Latin America. But this is a COSPAR world, and the idea is to have a wide-world consortium of nations devoted to space research. And we want to advertise the program of these member nations, including developing nations. And we want to inform everybody on the activities of you, the 11,000 associates from each nations, and the opportunities for international participation. We need you to help us increase the attractiveness of our events, as I mentioned, and in particular, increase the diversity, inclusiveness of our events and combat discrimination. You can submit all the ideas you have to for COSPAR to better support younger associates, early career scientists, whether through a mentoring system where we use our network to find older, more experienced people to mentor younger ones, possible job fairs during events, early career networking events, as will be the case this time, et cetera, et cetera. You can help us increase the quality of our journals by submitting your articles to Advanced in Space Research and Life Sciences and Space Research. You can send, as I mentioned, your contribution on any subject you want, non-peer review, for the information bulletin Space Research Today. And of course, there's the e-newsletter, COSPAR News. This is all. Thank you very much for listening. You can contact us through the web, of course. This is our website, and this is our email address. You can touch base with us on Facebook and on Twitter. Thank you very much.